Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my review of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So this is a continuation of my little side project, which is taking over more and more of my time, because I am gleefully checking out games from 10 years ago, partially to see where the AAA industry decided to set itself on fire and see the changes, and there are hints of it even 10 years ago, but also, you know, it was a pretty pivotal time for me for gaming, and where I pivoted into PC gaming. So yeah, it's been really fun showcasing and checking out these games. Now, I picked this up on a whim because it was going on sale, and COD games really don't go on sale, and they don't really drop in price either. So the opportunity to pick up a cheap COD game from 2014, I couldn't skip it. But yeah, I never played this at launch. Absolute tragedy, because this game is made for me and my ilk. It is really good, and it is like the vanguard of the next, God, now you test me, with the next two COD games, Black Ops 3, which has one of the fucking best stories in a mainstream video. It actually blows my mind that story, with all its twists and complexities, is actually in existence. And then Infinite Warfare, which was fantastic. It was like Battlestar Galactica, the COD version. And I can't believe, especially compared to current year games, that a AAA company would risk doing what they did for so many years in a row, clearly starting with this. Though I'd have to check out Ghosts. I think that came out technically in 2013, but there's a 2014 release. Oh, let me know. Maybe I'll pick up Ghosts while that's on sale and have a look at that. But my point is that there was a run there where the AAA powerhouse running the CODs was willing to dip into, you know, kind of sci-fi or edge of futurism tech, which is what this is. This is like exosuits and kind of like Elysium. Well, it's not actually as futuristic as that movie even. It's a bit more grounded. And then, you know, I don't know if it was well received, or maybe the multiplayer community was very vocal, because I can understand switching to exosuits and spaceships and shit is a pretty radical change when you've probably got an entire chunk of industry revolving around streamers, YouTubers, esports, all that sort of stuff, you know, so kind of fucking with your multiplayer formula too radically. I could see it rocking that boat as well. From my perspective, from the quiet, normie, maybe silent majority, I've met a lot of people over the years that just love playing COD campaigns and that's it, and don't play multiplayer. I'm one of them. I don't care about the multiplayer or the zombies or whatever. I just like my junk food, bloody X hours campaign, you know, Fast and the Furious, but video game version, basically. So, like, I can't really know. It would be a lot of speculating, and a lot of it's outside of my wheelhouse. But know this, if you're not interested in multiplayer, if you are a little bit jaded that COD just went back to doing yet another military shooter, yet another World War II shooter, you know, kind of going back to the safe formula, maybe check this out. It's really cool. It's really entertaining. All the gunplay's tight, and there's a lot of little gimmicks around, you know, pulse grenades, and you can see them test bidding some stuff here that came up in some of the more extreme games. I'll have to go back to Black Ops 3 and all that as well. And then you've got some really cool set pieces in vehicles, car chases, you know, going down highways, jumping from point to point. I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to keep my footage fairly limited. I know the statute of limitations is lifted. But yeah, I missed this. I went in blind, and I had an absolute fucking blinder of a time. What an absolute ripper of an experience. So yeah, it's James Bond adjacent. You know, it's less hardcore military shooter and more edge of sci-fi military thriller. Would be right at home in a Jason Bourne or even a Tom Clancy universe. The story is pretty by the numbers, and you've got bloody Kevin Spacey chewing up the scenery, doing what he does as a bit of an antagonistic force. You've got this company called Atlas, and it's interesting actually. It raises an interesting question without being preachy or browbeaty. Again, a nuance that seems to be lost in a lot of modern games. A lot of them just have to say something so overtly. But this, it's sort of, you know, the core thesis that it all floats around is the idea of what happens when you get like a corporate superpower with a big stick. You know, think America and their military industrial complex and their sheer weight of power, but instead of being a sovereign state, a country, or whatever, you're unshackled and you're more of a military institution unto yourself, right? Some of these themes have been touched on much more deeply in things like Metal Gear Solid and all that, but this is pretty entry-level stuff, and it's good. It's good. It kind of asks the questions and gives you a bit of food for thought, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it or anything like that. It's all pretty surface level, and arguably, it's better for it. It's much more respectable. So you globe trotting around to all these cool, different exotic locales. Again, I'm going to dance around it. If somehow you don't know, I'm not going to spoil. In your little exosuit with your little abilities, with some weird edge of futurism guns, but a bit of twists and turns, intrigue, that sort of stuff. I did get through it in about 6.5 hours, just over 6 hours. But on the performance side, I actually had quite a few crashes and issues along the way. Like just the game crashing out, that happened a couple of times. Probably no more than half a dozen, but it was, it's still noticeable in that runtime. And I did find, like, I'm running a 40 series, like a pretty insane rig, and even if I overtuned everything to max on every little thing, there were actually some performance issues as well. I mean, I got the optimization right in the end. But yeah, I'm actually so removed from COD campaigns, I don't remember the last one that I played. So I can't remember how long they're expected, but for some reason, 6 to 8 hours kind of jumps up in my mind. So maybe this is on the short end, but it was no less entertaining. I think I got it for $30 or something like that. But honestly, to me, that's a fair exchange for sure. But maybe you don't agree. Put it on a wish list. You might be able to catch it on a Christmas sale or something like that. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Find somewhere in your calendar, block out a weekend or a week of leave or something like that to just chip away at this game if you get a chance, because my golly, it is fun. I played on mouse and keyboard, and while the gunplay is very, very tight and very fun and engaging, all the weapons are an absolute treat to play with, it does have a lot of these, moments where you're on a motorbike or a car or like a speedboat that can submarine a bit, or you're flying through valleys in jet fighters. I'm not just making all this up. All these things are in it. These little pocket couple of minute vignette scenarios, like they put everything in. But having to switch back to WASD and control the movement with the keyboard, it's kind of shit. So it may well be you might even want to just switch between thumbsticks and keyboard depending on the section. I don't know, but I don't really use thumbsticks for shooters quite so much these days, and I think that's an eternal struggle. Not to get into it too much, but the difference between analog and digital input with keyboard versus thumbstick is something that, the more you hybridize your gameplay, like if it's not just shooting, if you've got vehicle segments as well, you start to run into issues, because I don't think anyone would really argue mouse and keyboard is generally pretty shit when it comes to vehicular control. Thumbsticks are infinitely better because you have that analog input. Speaking about that, there are a couple like sort of stealth sections that's trying to be cinematic, sweeping through dark corners, taking corners and all that. And the game seems to expect me to be using a thumbstick to move and match the pace of old mate that's acting his heart out, taking his corners slowly. But if you press W to move, because it's a digital 1-0 input, you just stutter stepping and going too fast. So yeah, there were some aspects of it where I was like, yeah, maybe I should be playing this with thumbsticks. At the end of the day, whatever's comfortable. I played the whole thing through on keyboard, and I didn't really have any issues beyond that. But yeah, holds up really well. Incredibly bombastic. Like I said, I took it on a whim. It's not like I was sold on it. It's not like I'm interested in the multiplayer. I find a lot of the marketing around COD to be kind of shithouse. Like, if you look up a trailer, it's all just aimed at multiplayer dude bros, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not me, right? So I'm not surprised I accidentally missed this at launch, because I doubt any of the marketing ever reached or appealed to me, which is so tragic because the campaign is clearly made for exactly me. I don't need to waffle, and there's not a lot more I can say other than just, put it on a billboard and make it very clear. If at some point you found yourself as just a normie dude that plays COD campaigns because you enjoy a bit of, junk food, cinema, popcorn, blockbuster stuff, this is actually kind of peak. So if you somehow missed it, give it a go. You might find that you'll fall back in love with COD, because honestly, this has reignited my love for it. I'm going to probably pick up Ghosts and check it out. I might even go back to all the way to the old CODs and tweak my 10-year system a bit. And I also think, is it Black Ops 6 is coming out this year? Now all of a sudden I'm actually kind of excited, and I think I'm going to cover that and review that as well. So I might make an effort to get through all the COD campaigns, which is a pretty big deal. So yeah, good work Advanced Warfare, you got me back. Anyway team, I'll just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.